Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 270. Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000
some party in downtown Detroit, 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
All right. Good morning. Welcome into the Rise of Grind Morning Show. It is Thursday, and that means that we are going to drink in our Lions today. We're going to be listening to some of the Detroit Lions videos. Who was on the mic yesterday giving us all the details for the week. These upcoming New York Giants coming to the Ford Field. And we should have Big Blue in the Bronx in this probably about 9:30 this morning. So he'll come in and tell us what's going on with the Giants. But we got a big game ahead of us. It's a must-win game by many Lions fans' accounts. So we're gonna talk about it today. And I know Eric's got a couple of things lined up for us. I don't have much, but be a lot of videos today. And we'll be right back here in 17 seconds. Let's get it in. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Rise of Grind Morning Show. Let's do it.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
Man, I have no clue what's going on with the audio here, but it keeps cutting out on me. But anyway, good morning, Eric. How are you?
Fantastic, man. Got a bunch of stuff done yesterday. Had a very eventful day yesterday. Freezing cold up here in the UP today, though. Holy moly.
Yeah, we were talking before the show. You were saying you're putting up some lights and that. I don't know if I'm going to put up Christmas lights this year. I'm going to be all bah humbug, and that's about what it is, man. I've done lights every year my whole life, and I just don't feel like getting up on a ladder this year. I don't feel like doing any of it. I really don't.
Well, see, I didn't get up on the ladder. I paid someone to get up on the ladder this year.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I had a 2-man crew come over and put my lights up for me. I did the ones on the fence, and I helped do the ones around my new deck. But other than that, I had a crew doing that stuff for me, and they put in new motion lights and all that stuff. So when you walk in the yard, the whole yard lights up.
So what you're saying is you turned in your man card?
Yep, I sure did.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm not an electrician. I don't touch that stuff.
Dude, they plug in and they unplug.
No, not the motion light that I put up.
Oh, those are simple, dude. Those are so simple. It's three wires, man.
I know, but I don't mess with that stuff.
Well,
anything you can die from, I don't touch it. Yeah.
Shit. Man, you can die from just about anything today, I swear. Anyway. All right, so what's going on with Brian Branch this morning, Eric? There's been some conversation over the last week.
Yeah. So I found this thing, and I got a question for everyone in the chat. Do you consider Brian Branch a dirty player? After another helmet-to-helmet hit on Sunday, some Lions and some Eagles fans, well, they seem to think so now. They think that Brian Branch is a dirty player. If you talk to Vikings fans and a few other fans, they'll tell you that Kirby Joseph is a dirty player. But now they're starting to put Brian Branch in this category. Why, I don't know. During the game Sunday night, Brian Branch was flagged for unnecessary roughness after hitting Eagles wide receiver Jahan Dotson. Now, this occurred after a helmet-to-helmet collision. And I can see where Brian was trying to hit him with his shoulder, but they did. They collided helmet-to-helmet, and he got himself a 15-yard penalty. And he also got himself knocked out of the game for a play because he hurt his foot or his toe or something on the play. And now he's been accused by a Lions fan that he's a dirty player online. And he responded on social media. The one thing you should never do, he did. He responded on X. And after the accusation, Brian responded, "How do I play dirty?" And then he said, "What would you rather me do in that situation?" So I wanted to take a look at it like this. Brian Branch has now been flagged for numerous personal foul penalties. He's had multiple fines, and he's even had an ejection and a 1-game suspension. The ejection was at the Packers last year. The suspension was this year. Now, given Brian Branch's history, at what point does his lack of on-field discipline become a greater liability than his talent is an asset for this team? So when does the bad outweigh the good with Brian Branch? This is a kid that next year will be the final year of his rookie contract. So he's going to be due for an extension. Are all these fines and penalties, suspensions, are these going to play into his numbers for a contract?
I personally don't think so.
No?
No. Because, I mean, you got to remember, they were saying the same thing about Kirby Joseph, right?
Yep.
You know, and Kirby taking out knees, this, that, and the other thing, and he's a dirty player. Well, they paid him just fine, and he had more issues than what Brian really has had. I mean, he hasn't had a ton of personal foul penalties or ejections and things of that nature, but so what I see, Eric, is I see damn good football technique. He's got his head's up when he's going to make the tackle. You can't always get away from a face mask banging a face mask or a face mask banging the side of someone's helmet. It'd be one thing if he dipped with a crown, you know, and targeted someone in the ear hole, but that's not what he's doing. You know, it just happens that his face mask, sometimes top of his helmet, will hit, but there's really not much else you can do from that angle. And if he would have went low, they would have said the same thing. Oh, you went low. You tried to injure our player, yada, yada, yada. So was the player hurt? No, he wasn't. And it's a game of football that, I mean, it's a violent sport. Things are going to happen. Not everything is done by purpose. So I don't think that Brian Branch is a dirty player. I think he's aggressive. I think he's a hard hitter. I think that, I don't think he's a overly or egregiously violent to the point of saying that he's dirty. Go back and watch Ray Lewis, man. Go watch Ray Lewis for, I don't care, any season, pull 5 plays and watch how he hits. Now that was dirty.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to look and see. So I found this website that lists every penalty that a player has made every season, right? And if you look back at every unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike conduct that Brian Branch has had, I'll tell you how many he's had every season. So this season, he had 1 against Philadelphia for unnecessary roughness. And then he had an unsportsmanlike conduct in the very first game against Green Bay. And I'm pretty sure that's the one that cost us the touchdown from Anzalone or no, maybe it was the other way. That was a interception for Anzalone, would have been. So you have 2 this season in 2025. Now we'll go back to 2024, and he had an unsportsmanlike conduct against Green Bay, and that is where he was ejected. And then he had an unnecessary roughness against San Francisco. So that's 2 in 2024. And we'll look back at 2023 and we'll see what we have here. We have an unnecessary roughness against Atlanta in like the 3rd game of the year. And that's it, other than defensive holding. There was a horse collar in that very first game there against Atlanta, also in week 3. So you had a horse collar and an unnecessary roughness. So if you take that, that's 2 penalties per season so far that Brian Branch has had an unsportsmanlike conduct or roughing the passer. So that's it. You have 2 penalties per season so far for Brian Branch. So I don't consider that being a dirty player. But what surprises me in all of this, the one thing that surprises me the most, is that Brian Branch actually responded to people on Twitter that were calling him a dirty player.
I wish I would have seen this because I would have jumped in on this in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Yeah.
How can you consider a guy a dirty player if he's had 2 penalties per season for something like this? It's
because
just
it happens on prime time, and
Yeah.
and you get a lot of people with their eyes, on it, and I don't think that they understand football, to be honest with you.
I really think that Packer one gave him a bad rap. And
that was probably one of the worst calls I've ever seen.
And it was very bad. He hit him with his shoulder, not with his head. And he ended up getting ejected for that game. But I think it's what happened after he was ejected is what has stuck with him and what he's been punished for and why he gets the bad rap when he gave the double birds to the crowd in Green Bay. I think that is what he's kind of being punished for. So now any little infraction, they're going to call it. And what was his suspension for this year? Do you remember?
Whose?
Brian Branch's. Because he was suspended for 1 game. It's slipping my mind.
It was the
right
fight.
now.
I'm sorry. My brain.
Yeah, the fight. Yeah, because he punched him, but that was after the game, right? That was after the fact. And that's kind of like in Green Bay, after he was ejected from the game, then he gives the double bird to the crowd. So I don't think he's getting a bad rap for stuff he's doing on the field. I think he's getting a bad rap for all the extracurricular stuff. And
whatever it is, I don't believe in it.
Yeah. Oh,
again,
wow. So the poll we put up, it's 100% no with 28 votes. That's awesome.
Yeah, we don't have many people in today, I don't think. 28 votes is decent. It should be 100% no. He's far from dirty. I just think he's aggressive.
Yeah. But the fact that it was a Lions fan calling him out and the fact that he got on and had to respond, that's pretty surprising because most of these guys, they just let that stuff fly off their back. They don't respond to this stuff.
No, honestly, I would never be on social media if I was an NFL athlete. Like, there's just so much negativity.
Yeah.
It really is. There's so much negativity. All right, if you want to roll through your NFC North report, I got to go do something real quick. Be right back.
All right. All right. Today on the NFC North report, we have the Minnesota Vikings. With center Ryan Kelly returning from IR, the Minnesota Vikings may finally have all 5 of their starters along their offensive line together on the field for the very first time this season. After spending big time in free agency to build their offensive line, the Vikings may get to see if those big free agent signings could actually work out together. The Minnesota Vikings heavily invested in their offensive line during the 2025 offseason, committing approximately $108 million in total contract value to offensive free agent linemen. The bulk of this spending was dedicated to rebuilding the interior of their line with two former Indianapolis Colts teammates. That includes Will Fries, the guard, signed to a massive 5-year, $87.72 million contract with $44 million guaranteed. And then at right guard, they also signed Ryan Kelly, the center, to a 2-year, $18 million contract with $9.25 million guaranteed. And he was brought in to be the anchor at the center position. So after hearing that, the Minnesota Vikings may finally have their offensive line together for the first time. Now, I want to pose this question. Could it be enough to help save their season and be enough to help make J.J. McCarthy a serviceable starter in the NFL? What do you guys think? I don't know if it's going to be enough. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers today. Matt LaFleur, he blames the field turf at MetLife Stadium for the Josh Jacobs injury last week. Josh Jacobs exited early in the second quarter of Sunday's 27-20 win over the Giants with a knee injury that he appeared to suffer in the first quarter when safety Javon Holland knocked him out of bounds at the end of a 15-yard run and landed on his left knee. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur even said that Jacobs could potentially play against the Vikings in this Sunday's game, though he also fired a shot at MetLife Stadium's controversial artificial turf over the injury. Unfortunately, that's a pretty hard surface over there, and this is a byproduct of that, said Matt LaFleur. So my question about the Packers, another day, another excuse from head coach Matt LaFleur, where he blames the turf at MetLife for the Josh Jacobs knee injury. Is Matt LaFleur more focused on excuses than on winning games? Because yesterday, if you remember, he was pleading with fans not to sell their tickets to Vikings fans so they could have the home field advantage. That sounds like a coach that is worried about a bunch of the wrong things to me. Instead of worrying about his offensive game plan and how to fix the offense, he's worried about tickets and the field at MetLife Stadium. And last but not least, the Chicago Bears. Now, Aaron Rodgers has owned the Bears for years and years and years. I don't think he's lost to the Bears. I couldn't tell you the last time that the Packers with Aaron Rodgers lost to the Bears. It was a long, long time. You know, during Aaron Rodgers' 18 seasons with the Packers, he helped Green Bay dominate the Bears in the intense NFC North rivalry. And at one point, he went viral for telling the Chicago team that he owns them. Well, Rodgers will travel to Chicago once again on Sunday, this time with his new team, the Steelers. And that rivalry tension no longer is there for Aaron Rodgers, as the Steelers don't have a storied history with the Bears. But are any of those previous hard feelings still bubbling up for Rodgers? Well, apparently not, as he's told reporters Wednesday that he'd rather not be considered the villain in Chicago anymore. So, does this mean Aaron Rodgers is giving up versus the Chicago Bears? Is he giving in already? I thought he was the owner of the Bears. So, I have to wonder if this means he is already conceding to the Bears on Sunday. And now I will get into I'll get into a little bit of NFL news. We'll go around the NFL in 60 seconds. So, just a snippet of yesterday's NFL news. Jets cornerback Chris Boyd, who was shot in the abdomen early Sunday outside a Manhattan restaurant, was upgraded to stable condition as police continued to search for the gunman. After failing to make a trade happen by the deadline, the Saints and wide receiver Brandon Cooks have mutually agreed to part ways. Cooks technically heads to the waiver first, where any team can claim him before becoming a free agent. The Browns, they plan to start Shedeur Sanders this Sunday, and ahead of his very first NFL start, the Browns rookie yesterday finally got his first team reps with Cleveland's first team offense. So for the first
That's
time
crazy.
ever, he got first team reps with an NFL team. That is horrible coaching, if you ask me. And next, the Eagles' offensive line is dealing with a significant injury concern following their Wednesday practice. Pro Bowl tackle Lane Johnson and center Cam Jurgens both did not participate in practice on Wednesday, leaving their status for the upcoming showdown with the Cowboys in doubt. On a positive note, offensive lineman Fred Johnson has been taking reps at right tackle, expressing confidence in stepping up for Lane Johnson if he cannot go. This, to me, once again proves that the Honolulu Blue flu is real after a team plays the Detroit Lions. Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott was officially listed as a limited participant in Wednesday's walkthrough due to a hip injury sustained in Monday's night's win over the Raiders. While the team held a lighter session, Prescott's status is being closely monitored as they prepare for a critical division game against Philadelphia. Additionally, defensive end Jadeveon Clowney appeared on the injury report with a shoulder and neck issues, adding to the team's defensive concerns. And last but not least, the Los Angeles Rams have made a flurry of roster moves yesterday, placing 3 key players, tackle Rob Havenstein, tight end Tyler Higbee, and defensive back Quentin Lake on injured reserve. To fill a roster spot, the team signed kicker Harrison Mevis to the active roster. These losses come just as the team is riding high from a victory over Seattle, testing their depth significantly moving forward. And now all 3 of those players will not be eligible to come back from IR before the Detroit Lions play at the Rams. So they're going to be missing those 3 players, and they're all 3 starters for sure versus the Lions. And that's around the league in 60 seconds.
Who's going to have 3 players out?
The Rams.
Oh.
So they got 3 starters. And they put all 3 of them on IR, so they will not play against the Lions. And that is...
It's a smart move, with them obviously going to be going to the playoffs. It's a smart move.
Yeah. But that's tackle Rob Havenstein, tight end Tyler Higbee, who was a big target for Matt Stafford, and then defensive back Quentin Lake. And all 3 of them are starters for the Rams.
Having this window capture issue again, but let's get into Jared Goff, what he had to say on the Giants. We're going to break into the Giants here for a moment. I will say this about the Rams. We have not played to our strength yet, and my biggest concern is like what I said yesterday. Aiden Hutchinson is not beating one-on-ones, and it's been a consistent problem. And I know we keep hearing the other side of that where, well, he's getting double chipped. Look, I beat that horse a million times. The stats are what they are. The facts are what they are. If you don't watch film, don't even bother arguing with me about it. He needs to step up and win some one-on-ones. And he's not. And so I don't care who's in on the offensive line. He needs to show that he can go in there and dominate. And if he can't go in there and dominate, then we're going to have a problem against the Rams. It's not about the other guy. At some point, you have to wake up and smell the coffee and say, I need to play better. And then you got to go do it. I was going to give him a pass this year, until everyone decided to crown him that he was going to be Defensive Player of the Year again. He's not even close. He's not even close to Comeback Player of the Year right now to me. Doesn't mean I hate the guy. It's just we need players to dominate and take over games. Just like we're going to talk about Jared Goff or you're going to talk about Jameson Williams. It is no different than talking about anybody else on this team. Penei Sewell's got to do better in pass block. Same thing. It's the same thing. So I just hope that he can step up big in that game because that's going to be a critical game for us. It really is. That if we can go in and beat LA in LA, that'll be huge. I want it for Goff so bad because of what's at stake. Going back home for the second time since he's been a Lion. First time he lost. He's got to go win that game.
And he's going up against Andrew Thomas this weekend. And Andrew Thomas has allowed the longest average time to pressure among left tackles this season at 4.03 seconds. So that to me
so that tells me he's not going to have a good weekend.
Really?
Yeah, longest average time of pressure?
Yeah.
That means he's able to keep Aiden away from the quarterback longer.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Well, how are you thinking that we're at red?
Oh, I was thinking I was reading it wrong. Yeah, so in my brain I was thinking the opposite.
Yeah, no, he won't have a good weekend if that's the case.
Yeah, so you might want to throw Hutch on the other side. I don't know.
Well, they do mix them up. I mean, they've been mixing them up
Yeah.
about 50% of the time, but
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, let's get into Jared Goff. Got to get this scene set up once we get into it, and hopefully once it's fixed, it's fixed. I don't know where this is, like where they're doing their videos now. I don't know if this is in the locker room, outside the locker room. I don't remember seeing that by the locker room.
It says the Performance Center.
Oh, so that's
right behind him.
Allen Park.
Yep. Practice facility.
All right. Closer. Bury this thing right behind that frame. Bang. Here we go. All right, Jared Goff. Let's hear what he has to say about the upcoming game here. Giants being young and fast. Jared Goff spoke to reporters the other day about the loss to the Eagles and the Giants being fast. And what does that mean for this upcoming game?
Curious, what was it like watching? Very uncharacteristic, just in terms of the completion percentage.
Yeah.
With you last week, I was just curious, what was it like watching that tape? Was it frustrating for you?
Oh
Were
yeah,
you
no
angry?
fun. Yeah, frustrating, all that, no fun. But you learn from it. You try to find little bits and pieces that you can get better from, and just like any other tape that goes good or bad or indifferent, you just try to learn from it and get better.
Not to give anything away, but what'd you learn from that tape in particular?
Shoot, a lot of stuff. Yeah, got to be better in certain areas, and be able to put the ball where I want to.
Jared, you had, I think, 5 batted passes going into that game for the duration of the season. There have been a few pop up in your career where teams have knocked down multiple 4s excessive. They said they saw something on film. How much do you take that to heart when you're looking at your own film? Do you think about that at all?
No, not at all. Yeah. No, it's if it continues to happen, sure, yeah, you would certainly look at something. But right now, I consider that an outlier.
Jared, did you see what they said? And does that matter
I did not.
to you at all?
I heard about it. One of our coaches mentioned it to me, but no, I didn't see it.
I think Jalen Carter said it was like a low arc release, and that was their tell. Like they were going to take advantage.
They did a good job. Whatever it was, they did a good job, and tip your cap.
What was the conversation like this week with St. Brown? It's very uncharacteristic of y'all, last game. How do you guys, communicate to get back on track this week?
No conversation. We're good. I'd consider that an outlier for what we've done in our career together, and you learn from it. You look at it. We talk about different ways that we can get better, but no like grand conversation about it. No.
You see from their defense, their front, just take you of it.
Yeah, they're great, man. They really are up front. They're really good. All 4 or 5 of them up there can play, and you got to be aware of those guys. And then on the back end, they're young, feisty, and can get after it too. So certainly have our hands full.
A lot of speed on the edge. Have you seen a defense like that in the recent years where they have that much, speed and bend on the edge?
Which team are you talking about?
Giants.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's been a lot of good fronts. I mean, yeah, they're young and fast. I think that's a big thing, and they've got a lot of first rounders up there, which is always hard to deal with. But yeah, we got a lot of first rounders on our line. We'll be just fine.
How much do you look at the next 3 weeks with 3 games being at home, a way to kind of take control back of the season? You're going to go one game at a time, but does looking at that schedule, the home cooking, help your mindset?
Yeah, it's nice to be able to be in front of our fans again and feel that juice, feel that energy, and be able to feed off some of that momentum and to know that hopefully that's coming this week.
You said a couple weeks ago to us about just riding the wave of the outside opinions and how you try to keep it outside these doors. But do you worry at all about the consistencies of the offense and the numbers yourself, not what other people are saying, but the output that you guys are putting out there?
No, I'm worried about winning games. I don't care if we have 100 yards. If we win the game, that's all that matters. So the output of the offense, of course, yeah, you'd love to score 40 every week and 500 yards like we did, 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever that was. But yeah, no, you have a bad game, you learn from it. The output is not nearly as important as just finding a way to get a W, and we didn't do that last week.
When you take stock of
we always talk about the speed, but how have you seen his field awareness with the ball in his hands kind of grow over these last couple of years?
It just gets so much better. Everything he does has gotten better. His route running, his catching, his knowledge of the game, his understanding of what we're trying to do offensively, everything. He's gotten better at everything, and I've said it a million times. Anytime we get the ball up to him in space, good things happen. We've seen him take it to the house so many times. So, yeah, we'd like to keep doing that.
Hey, Jared, Sam has been such a key cog in this offense for years now. Can you explain how his absence impacts what you guys do or how you might operate?
Yeah, there would be some adjustment. Certainly, he's been such a big part of it, and you can't really fill that void with anyone, but you can adjust and move things around and put guys in places where their strengths are and continue to adjust, and we're going to have to do that.
10 years in, you don't need any given Sunday reminder. Every opponent has a chance. But I'm just curious, younger players, when they see a 2-9 record, how does Dan kind of keep that on track?
Yeah, I think we're very well. We know very well how close all their games have been. And I think that's where it makes it easy. You just watch their tape. Yeah. Unfortunately for them, they've lost in the last few minutes a handful of times this year, and against good teams and teams with winning records right now. So you look at that, you go, if a player or two goes a different way, they're sitting here with a different record. So we're very aware of that. We're very aware of how great their players are, and have to be on our P's and Q's for sure.
When you take stock of the offense through 10 games, what are some of the things that kind of surprise you? What are some of the things that have kind of been confirmed, I guess, over the course of this stretch?
Gosh, it's a hard question. I don't know. I mean, it's been a little up and down and a little back and forth, and we've had some great games where we've had record-setting days, and we've had some bad games like last week where we've had some bad days. And so yeah, you want to try to find consistency there and find a way to be on the right side of that more often. I don't know if there's anything I can say that's surprising or confirming, but we just got to find a way to be more consistent.
We're going to look at the defense real quick. Obviously what they've been able to
our
do.
Defense?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and how does that change your mindset as a quarterback? Because obviously last year, it seemed a little bit more weighted towards the offense, obviously, given all the injuries that happened. But with the defense and playing the way that they are, what does it do, I guess, from your kind of approach and mindset with that?
I don't know. I think they've been playing great. They've been doing a good job and getting us the ball back in plus territory a lot of times. And I think, like I said, sometimes we've taken advantage of it and sometimes we haven't. So we got to find ways to take advantage of those short fields and those turnovers more often, and be able to support them a little bit better.
From what you've seen, what's your opinion of Jaxson Dart?
I haven't seen him on tape. I think he's a young guy with great energy and has done some good things, but I have not been able to sit down and watch it.
All right, so a few things in here. One, I guess I'm a little, maybe I'm not really. I guess I was gonna say I'm a little bit taken aback that he hasn't watched Jaxson Dart at all. But then again, when these guys are in their meeting rooms every week, it's solely focused on what they do. There's no outside noise of the defense and what the offensive side of the ball is doing. However, you would almost think it would make sense to watch a little bit of each offense every week to see what they are doing, to see if there's something that you could grab, from them, if there's something that you can take and utilize, for what they're doing. One sec. Okay. So a couple of things that he said, that the defense last week had noticed that there was a low arm release, or at least that's one of the reporters that said. I didn't see this. I didn't see it reported, and he kind of laughed it off. Sorry, I got this big old burp in me, man. I drank this after yesterday's sugar attack. I'd been drinking this protein drinks, and it's not sitting right with me. So anyway, this low arm release, and he's kind of laughed it off. You know, Jared doesn't really have a low arm release, at least that I think. I don't think he does. Maybe in certain spaces he does, depending on where he's trying to put the ball. But my biggest fear this week, Eric, is this. And it's these two things and these two things only. This is absolutely a game we can lose. And I know that you're probably not thinking that, but this is a game that we can lose. Losing late against good teams with winning records is the number one thing to look at. Just like I said yesterday about the Bears, I have no confidence in the Bears doing anything. Why? Because they have not beat a team with a winning record this year. And they've hardly beat teams with even 4 wins, it seems like. So you're now playing the second half schedule that is the best for the Bears. Well, what about the Giants? Who have they played? Right? Well, who have they played this year? What have been the scores? But losing late against good teams with winning records is absolutely a possibility to show up again this weekend. But here's what you're looking at. You're looking at Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke, and Kayvon Thibodeau up front. Paulson Adebo's pretty good as a corner. He can create some havoc. Oh, that's right. Abdul Carter. They have Abdul Carters too. Let's throw that in there. Oh, and Darius Alexander? Huh. The New York Giants have probably the best defensive line in the game. Best front seven. Maybe their linebackers are not as good as you would want. But this is a handful. Well, I guess let me take that back. Let me walk back that last statement because I forgot that they run the 3-4. Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke, Kayvon Thibodeau, all linebackers. They're DTs, defensive ends, Rakeem Nunez, Dexter Lawrence, Roy Robertson, all good players up front. Back to what I was saying. They probably have one of the best front sevens in the game. They might not be, clicking on all cylinders every game, but they can take over a game. And Jaxson Dart is absolutely a hell of a quarterback. He's back. He's practicing yesterday. He's likely to play this weekend. What is your immediate thought when you think of the Giants barely, losing to teams that have winning records versus the Bears? Wow. If you were to take both of those teams and put them in a vacuum, like how do you compare and contrast them,
Well, all week I've been thinking of this, that the Giants game at home against the Lions, this reminds me of the Tennessee game from last year. Everyone thought it was going to be a trap game. They thought it was going to be a close game. And they came out and they scored 17 points in the first half, and that was it. And we put up a 50-burger on them. So that's kind of the way I see this game going this weekend. I really honestly do. The Lions don't lose 2 in a row. They haven't lost 2 in a row in over 3 years. And if you look at every team's win percentage against teams with a winning record, you have the Eagles, the Patriots, the Bills, the Rams, and the Jaguars ahead of the Lions. But the Lions are winning at a 50% clip against teams with a 500 or better record. So the Lions are not doing that bad against winning teams. And against the losing teams, the Lions have been dominating. So it's the fact that we need to get it going against the better teams, in my opinion. The Lions know how to beat weak teams. They just don't know how to get it done against the best of the best right now. And I think that all boils down to our offensive line, because our defense is playing lights out. We're ranked right now the number 5 defense in the league. And if you look at the Giants, they are rated at the 29th defense in the league. That's why this defense, if you look at all the categories for defense, the Giants overall defense, they rate at 29, giving up 375 yards a game and 35 touchdowns. To contrast that, the Lions have given up 291 yards a game and 26 touchdowns. So that's 9 less touchdowns the Lions have let up. And then on passing defense, the Giants are all the way down at 22nd, giving up 225 yards per game and 19 touchdowns through the air. And then if you go down to rushing defense, let's find the Giants here. The Giants are all the way down at 30th, giving up 149.9 yards per game and 15 touchdowns. Look at scoring defense. The Giants are 29th, giving up 27.3 points per game. Red zone defense. The Giants are not too bad, I think, in this one. Where are they at? Yeah, they're all the way down at 32.
For what? I'm
giving
sorry.
up
What are you looking at?
At the third, or the red zone defense.
Yeah,
red zone defense.
Oh, yeah.
The Giants are the worst. They're 32nd in the league, 73.7%. So this defense right now, to me, that they're not scary. Their best, let's see, their best category is third down defense. They're tied for 18th at 40%, at a 40% clip. So in any of the defensive rankings, third down defense is the best thing they do. And they're tied for 18th.
So just taking a quick look here at a couple of things. Let's peek at their schedule for a moment. So this year, they started out against the Commanders, which we expected the Commanders to be a good team at the beginning of the season. They handled the Giants 21-6. They go on the road to the Cowboys, and they hang with the Cowboys 37-40. They lose by 3. Chiefs. When you look at the Chiefs game, the Chiefs scored in every quarter 3 points, 6 points, 7 points, 6 points. So that's, I'm pretty sure that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 field goals and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to hold the Chiefs out of the end zone but one time. And that's early in the season when teams are healthy, right? And then you get into, what is this week? 1, 2, 3, 4. They barely lost against the Chargers by 3. They go to the Saints, they lose. Saints were looking good for a minute, and then they fell apart. The Giants wiped the floor with the Eagles, doubled them up 34-17. And then they go to the Broncos, and they take the Broncos the distance, and they lose 33-32. So the two toughest teams in the league right now, two of the toughest teams, they beat one, and they barely lost to the other. And then the next week, they see the Eagles again, which I don't know who put that schedule together, but to put the Eagles and the Giants on the board within 3 weeks, how stupid was that? 38-20. So much different game. The Eagles repaid, the Giants, in Lincoln. Then they go out to, they get back home. They bring in the 49ers. They lose by 10. They go up against the Bears. They lose by 4 at Soldier Field. They bring in the Packers at home. They lose by 7. And now you have the Lions. So what I see is a team that has been able to hang with some of the best teams in the league. If you consider the Bears to be a good team, which I don't, they were able to hang with the Bears. And that game came down to the Bears coming back in the fourth quarter. If I remember correctly, the Giants pretty much led this game and then kind of gave it up in the fourth quarter. So it's a team that with their defense, if they come alive, if that defensive line can do what the Eagles were able to do and completely thrash our offensive line, which I know you feel more confident. I'll tell you right now, we're not scoring 50 on the Giants. We might not even score 30. This is not the Tennessee Titans. To me, it's totally different when you're looking at the style of defenses, the type of players that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, it's Brian Burns.
But what they've done this year, every chart and everything I look at, it just it just has the Lions with every
statistical advantage. But that's why that's why stats, Eric, are part of the equation, right? It tells part of the story.
Well, the biggest stat to me is 2-9.
But then to me would be that they're barely losing games.
But
so
listen,
when the Lions were barely losing games, what were you saying?
They were.
Come on, be honest now. Be honest.
Get what you're saying?
When they were barely losing games, what are you saying?
Away. Yeah, they're saying, okay, well, we're not that far away. We're getting close. We just got to get over that hump. But this is one thing right now. The New York Giants are not playing at home. They are playing away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their overall record is 2-9. Their home record is 2-3. Their away record is 0-6. They have not proven they can win a game away from their stadium, MetLife.
So when the Lions are losing barely, because we had 6-7 games. What was that? 2022, beginning of that season. We have like 4, 5, 6 games that were decided by less than 3 points, or though that might have been that might even have been 2021. It's between there somewhere, we had a bunch of games decided by less than 3-4 points, and you could tell that the Eagles was 38-35 or something like that. So the Lions are right there, and what everyone was saying is that the ball just needs to bounce one more time in the Giants' direction. That's all it takes, is for the ball to bounce just differently one time, and the Giants can win any of these games that are closely decided by a touchdown or a field goal. That game is winnable. It's manageable. And so I'm not gonna ride this, okay, they're coming to Ford Field and they can't win on the road, and they still can beat us. They have the team to do it. Jaxson Dart is a pretty damn good quarterback. Yeah, they lost Cam Scatabo, but I think that we've quickly realized they have other players. They can run the football. Matter of fact, last week, Lacey put up 19 carries, 88 yards against the Packers. Mm-hmm. And the Packers are supposed to have one of the best run defenses in the league. Devin Singletary put up 44. Jameis Winston dropped 10 in the bucket just because. They put up over 130 yards of rushing on the Packers. Jameis Winston was 19 of 29 for 201. Now we're expecting to see Jaxson Dart this week, but if Jameis Winston starts, I think that even elevates the ability for the Giants to come in and hang with us even more. I think that Jameis Winston is obviously a polished quarterback. He's a forever backup quarterback. But Tyrone Tracy also put up 51 yards in the pass game. He had 130 plus yards overall on the day, all purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's on my fantasy league. I took him early in the year. But the point I'm trying to make is
that could have came back to bite you in the butt, because if Cam Scatabo would have stayed healthy, I don't think you would have seen too much of old Tyrone.
No,
Tracy.
he was a backup. That's all he was. He was a backup. I haven't even paid attention to fantasy football this year. So what I'm trying to say is this is not a game that we should just lay down and say, we got this, because we thought that we should have been able to beat the Eagles too.
Well, we thought we should have been able to beat the Vikings. That was the one. That was the trap game for us. That's the first trap game in the Dan Campbell era.
Now, I don't think that the team glossed over them at all. They would never do that with a divisional rival. They would never, say that, we got this. We don't need to practice. We're good. And the team would never do that.
I don't know. I think we just came in so unprepared on the game. We're not going to come in unprepared for this game. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
they are steaming coming off that loss from the Eagles. Their hair's on fire this week.
Well, you definitely can't play the way that they played on the offensive line and expect to go in and win football games the rest of the year.
No,
you can't. That has to be fixed. And to Brad Holmes' credit, or discredit, however you want to look at it, look, there's nobody he really could have brought in to help this team. And if you go look around the league, it's the same thing of edge or any other player. You can't have 3-4 number one edges on a team, right? You can't have 3-4 left tackles that are number one left tackles on it. It doesn't work that way. So for all the Madden managers out there, it doesn't work that way. Yes, you can get high quality backups, just like you can get high quality H2O. Just ask Bobby Boucher. But you're not going to be able to get significant amount of number ones on one team, especially during the season, without trading massive amounts of draft capital, which we know Brad Holmes is not going to do, and that would be stupid if he did that. It is what it is. Yes, we need to draft offensive line. Last year and the year before, I'm going to have to go find it, because if I say it, and I say it exists out there, when I say it exists, that means you can go look for it if you want to spend the time. I know definitively I said in 2 years ago, when after the 2023 season, when Frank Ragnow was not happy and you didn't know if he was going to, you did not know if he was going to retire or not, right? And I said, we better go in and draft somebody now. You got to go find the next guard that can be your center. And we didn't do it. And Brad said that year or the next year or whatever, he's like, I'm not going to go in and, prepare to get a center at the, future of the position. Now we don't know what's going on with Frank Ragnow. That was probably the dumbest move he's made, is not preparing for Frank Ragnow. And I'm not saying that Graham Glasgow has been the sole issue, because he hasn't been the sole issue. The main issue has been the guard play and the injury issue on the offensive line. But he should have drafted somebody 2 seasons ago to be our next guard. Yep, you could still bring in Kevin Zeitler or whoever you want, but those are one-year wonders. That's why those don't work. Right? They don't work long term. If you give everybody a 2-year deal, then that helps, right? Give them a 2-year deal, then you're good for 2 years, but you got to be able to back out of it in the second year somehow without getting killed, with a bunch of dead cap. That's hard to do too. So I guess where I'm going with this is it was probably too little, too late. You can't draft, 6th round draft picks and expect them to be starters on an offensive line in their first year and play extremely well. Doesn't mean that they can't become somebody. It just may take some time. I don't know about you, but I don't feel totally comfortable having 6th round draft picks. Now, I know that the round doesn't really matter, but these aren't guys that popped off the page in college either.
Mm-hmm.
You should have done something different, especially now you get into defensive lines like we're seeing with the Eagles and the Giants that are just too good.
Well, we don't know what we have in Miles Frazier, and he was, a 5th round pick?
Yeah, I think he's 5th, something like that, yeah.
I think he was a 5th. But so we don't know what we have in him. We have no clue. It's sad that we're missing Mahogany, and that Ratledge has been banged up, and Sewell's been banged up, and Taylor Decker's been banged up. This seems like the season of attrition for our offense versus our defense. Last year, our defense was decimated with injuries, and it seems like this year it's our offensive line that is being decimated with injuries and playing poorly this year. And all Lions fans want is for both of these units to be playing at a high level. And we are not that, like you were saying earlier about not being that far off. I don't think our offense is that far off. We're still top 10 in total offense. I don't think we're that far away. We know we have the running backs. We know we have the wide receivers, and we know we have the tight end when he's not on injured reserve. But that's one thing that might come back to bite us a little bit, is not having a real true number 2 tight end, because we have Brock Wright, but he's Brock Wright. He's a blocking tight end. He's not that. He's not the Sam Laporta type.
Yeah, but we need the blocking tight ends. Yeah, I would love to have another Sam Laporta, but I think that again, it's the same problem. Go look around the league.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams have two Sam Laportas? None.
Yeah, no, none.
Right? How many have two of their top tight ends on their team? Like, you take whatever top tight end they have on their team and double it. How many teams have two? None. You have to have a blocking tight end and you have to have a pass catching tight end in this type of an offense. If you can get both out of those players, that's even better. I feel like the Lions kind of locked themselves into Brock Wright, and they paid for him. They definitely paid for him. When who was it? Was it the 49ers that offered him a deal?
Yeah.
And the Lions matched it or something like that.
Yes.
It was a $3 million a year or $6 million a year.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Brock was a restricted free agent, so the Lions got to match.
Anyway, I won't go deep off into that, but
I like what Grandma Trey says in here. How many teams have a Gibbs and a Monty? Not too many.
Not too many.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have to take the good with the bad. It's just this year, our offensive line is getting hit with injuries. But you know what? Mahogany has a chance to come back later this year. And the rest of the line has a chance to get healthy. I know we have 3 games in 11 or 12 days. This is going to be the gauntlet. We got to get through this. Thankfully, all 3 of these are at home. We don't have to travel. So that's going to give the guys a little bit more time each week to rest up and get ready for these games. If we can get through these 3 games healthy on our offensive line, I think we're going to be okay.
So I'm not so sure about Mahogany being able to come back. He has a broken bone. It was listed as a broken bone in his leg, and then somewhere it said broken bone knee. Like, that didn't make sense to me. But either way, any broken bone, I think that you're talking at minimum of 6 weeks. So that would put him end of December, probably end of December, 1st of January, to where he could even be ready to come back into the window, right? Or maybe the window would be over by the end of the first week of January. But if you go by Aiden or anybody, I mean, Aiden is a totally different type of an injury, but if you go by anyone with a broken bone, Alex Anzalone was a forearm. How long did it take him to get back? That was 7 weeks, 6 weeks,
Was it?
6 weeks. Who else had a broken bone last year that, what's his name? Amik Robertson left. He didn't come back.
Yeah.
But anyway, it depends on where it is. It depends on what you're doing. And for a broken bone in somebody's leg or knee, for an offensive lineman, like, that's critical because they're constantly anchoring. You're putting 300 pounds of pressure plus on that, 1,200 pounds of pressure plus on that bone, anytime you take a step. So I would say I'm less favorable that Mahogany would be back. So then we have Miles Frazier. I like Miles Frazier's work at LSU. I liked, Christian Mahogany's working, before he was coming out of the draft. It was a Boston College, I think. But Miles Frazier, it's a crapshoot. He didn't go through training camp. He's having to learn on the fly. He stayed in shape. Yeah, could he help this team? Sure. Could Coyote Owaska still help this team? Absolutely. But are they the answer? No. And are they, first, second, third round talent that can get better week by week by week? That's yet to be seen. But they're not. They're later round draft picks for a reason. There's a reason why 32 teams passed on them for so long. There's something that they saw that maybe others didn't. And I will put this, as plainly as I can. Our offensive line troubles are not any one person. I think all of them have a hand in it, and I think that every single one of those guys is battling some sort of a nagging injury. Obviously, we know Taylor Decker doesn't have any strength left in that one shoulder. Was his left shoulder or his right? I don't know which shoulder it is anymore. Shoulders, knees, and toes at this point with the Lions' offensive line. My God. Penei Sewell, he's battled issues this year. Tay Rowledge hasn't looked comfortable, and then he looks like an all-pro, and then he doesn't look comfortable, and he looks like an all-pro. So he's all over the place. Expected. He's a rookie. All right, he's a rookie. It's expected.
Now, he got knocked out of the last game. Have we heard anything about him? what his injury was?
He came back in. He came back in and finished the game.
Oh, at the end? Okay. But do we know what that injury was? That's what I'm wondering. What knocked him out of the game for a while?
I mean, I can take a look at the injury report real quick. Or when we get there, we'll see if he's listed.
Okay.
But the overall concern that I have is the offensive line. When you're going up against a team like the Giants that have an amazing defensive front, they have linebackers that can get after you. Brian Burns has always been a terror. And it does not change anything for the Lions as far as, we should have got Brian Burns. No, hell no. The point I'm trying to make here is that is how the Giants can get after us. And if that's how they can get after us and they can take away our ability on offense, that's where things get messy. Without our offensive line, I think that we can all agree on this. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, but without an offensive line, this offense doesn't work. That same statement can be said for 31 other NFL teams, though, too. And you can throw as many Band-Aids as you want at the problem. That's not going to fix it. What will fix it temporarily is getting Goff out there in space a little bit, get him moving, and get that ball out of his hand. That is, and getting more protection in. You're going to have to come back, wind it back a little bit, to only having 3 or 4 options on a play instead of 5. So they just have to change what they're doing to be able to reverse this a little bit on the Giants. Let me take a look at the injury report when we get back. I got to check my messages and see if Big Blue in the Bronx is going to get in here.
I have one quick, interesting stat for you.
Sure.
The Giants have allowed the most rushing yards to opposing QBs in the league. So, if you are a betting man, you might want to look at the over-under on Jared Goff rushing yards for Sunday. I'm sure gonna.
Did you look yet?
Nope. They don't have it up yet. They don't put that kind of stuff up till like Friday or Saturday. But hopefully tomorrow for my
the broken giraffe.
For my what do you call it? Bold take Friday.
Yeah.
I might just have a bold take about good old Jared Goff.
All right, something tells me you will
tomorrow. Yeah.
I'll have a parlay to go with it. All right, be right back in 15 seconds.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
Injury report. Let me get into the injury report.
Sure,
I didn't see a message yet, so we'll see if he's going to get in or not. So big shout out to Alex. We've had Alex on a couple of times over the last couple of seasons, and he doesn't do a whole lot on his channel anymore because he now officially works for a news station. So he's the soon-to-be insider. He's actually working down in Tennessee now, which is pretty cool. He got an opportunity to work at, I think it's a Fox station in Chattanooga. I think it's a Fox station, but he's a reporter now, following his dream. So good for Alex, man. It's he'll always be on though to talk Giants, man. It's his squad. All right, injury update. Let's run through it here. I'm sure
I got it out too.
All right. So Detroit Lions, Terry and Arnold concussion protocol, still no practice yesterday. Brian Branch, no practice with a toe injury. Taylor Decker, I'm sure is on rest, but he's got the shoulder injury. Kirby Joseph still has a knee injury, and I'm already hearing he's out this week. Penei Sewell, ankle, no practice. Marcus Davenport's obviously going to be on the limited side because of the shoulder. Graham Glasgow has a knee injury. He was limited. He should be fine. Josh Pascal has a back injury. He was limited. Same back injury. Nothing new. Tate Ratledge had a knee. And I believe it was his left knee that he was holding. He was limited, so he should be up. He should be fine. DJ Reed has a hamstring limited. That's the same hamstring that he's been working on to get back. He should be playing this weekend. Isaac Tesla still has the same oblique injury that he had last week. Sione Vaki still with an ankle. Brock Wright popped up with an ankle. Miles Frazier now has the same knee injury that he's been working to get back from. He's getting closer. Not sure if he's going to get up this weekend. Khalif Raymond just had some cramping. He was full. Miles Frazier was full. Malcolm Rodriguez is back. Glad to see Malcolm Rodriguez back. I don't know if we talked about it yesterday. Put him on the thumbnail, and I don't think we ever talked about it.
We didn't. And
So-
he did come off of IR.
Yeah, so Jacob Sailors, man, that kid is just banged up every week, but he's full participant with a back injury. So if you look at the injury list, I'm just going to point out the guys that are probably not going to play. Kirby Joseph. Marcus Davenport could get in. He could be up. Josh Pascal could be up. DJ Reed could be up. Everybody else should play. Miles Frazier likely not up, but I think that's going to be more of a decision on whatever's going on with the other guys, on whether or not they need him to get in, go through some of the reps pregame, be there as an emergency guard. I don't know if you take an extra offensive lineman to the game this year or this weekend just because, get him in the atmosphere. I think that's an important piece to them, is to get him into the atmosphere again. But everyone else should be playing. But Kirby Joseph, I'm hearing, is already not going to play. Terry and Arnold should be in. What are your thoughts?
I would love to see Terry and Arnold in. It's concerning that we haven't heard anything other than he's in concussion protocol. That one really worries me. I love seeing that DJ Reed's probably going to play, but man, this whole Kirby Joseph saga, what is this, 5 or 6 weeks now? Why didn't they slap him on IR if they knew that his knee was this bad?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Kirby Joseph, he's been out, what, for 5 or 6 weeks now?
Yeah.
Why didn't they throw him on IR and bring somebody else in?
Yeah, it's the same damn question I have every year when they do this. Probably because they didn't want to waste an IR spot and having to bring him back. And thinking that they could just manage it. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, not at all. Because they've known about this knee all year. They knew about it when they signed him.
Mm-hmm.
Because this knee was bugging him last year, and why he just didn't have a procedure, have it fixed, and be back. He'd be back already.
So this goes back to what I said, the other day when I said you're not going to like what I'm going to say. I was talking about Aiden and Kirby, and they had to have known that there was something going on with his knee, because before you pay somebody a contract, they're going to go through testings and evaluations and MRIs and all that good stuff, right? So they had to have known that there was a knee issue going on, but you went ahead and you paid him a max deal anyway. I love Kirby. I love the way he plays. I think it's great for the team. But at some point, you have to make that business decision, right? Everyone hates to make the business decision that is not going to settle well with the fan base or your employees or whatever situation you're in. In this case, if it were me, and I said at the very beginning of the year, I would have traded Kirby. I would have got as much as I could get for him. Whether it was a first round pick, second and fourth, whatever the case may be, I would have got as much as I could get for him. Now, this knee injury could go away next year, and he could be fine. But you're paying the dude $20+ million to not play. I don't know what he's making this year. I don't know if that new contract hit this year or not. And it happens. Like, injuries are part of the game. I understand that. But you just signed the guy and he's not playing. We just signed Aleem McNeil and then he went down, right? I mean, it seems like a common theme. Maybe stop signing guys, during the season. Sign them in the off season. Make sure that they're healthy. And I would never sign a player in season. I wouldn't, because anything could happen, right? What happens if, and knocking on wood, I'm not even going to say his name. Let's just say you signed a guy to $181 million that just came off a major injury, and then 4 weeks later he gets injured again, and it's a major injury, and you just sign him to a mega deal. He's already playing. What was the point of getting the deal done? You didn't save anything. Not really. You saved a little bit, but you gave him the most guaranteed money. That's the kicker, right? The most guaranteed money. That's what matters. I wouldn't have done it, because if something happened during the season, now that changes everything. Right? Now that deal becomes a $90 million deal over 3 years. Maybe. So there's just certain things. I'm more cutthroat. I wouldn't be a player's GM. I'm not like that. I'm all about team. I'm all about business. And that comes first. Build your relationships. Do everything that you can for everybody underneath you. Take care of everyone. But sometimes you have to be a little cutthroat. In this case, that's a lot of money. And it's only a couple of players. There's a lot that you could have got back for that.
Yeah. Well, I looked it up, and Curb has not played since the Kansas City game on October 12th.
Week 6.
So it's been a while, and we're entering week 12. So this will be his 6th game that he missed if he does not play. And listen, on the season, he has 3 interceptions and 4 tackles.
Say that again?
Or 14 tackles, 4 assists, and 3 interceptions on the year so far. So, I mean, he had a first good couple of games. Let's see. He had an interception against the Bears. He had one against Cleveland and one against Cincinnati, and hasn't done anything since then. He had 4 tackles against Kansas City. So the cupboard's looking pretty bare with Kirby this year compared to last year.
Well, he hasn't played. I mean, he was actually getting off to a pretty decent clip there. I mean, in 6 weeks, he had three interceptions. That you math that out, that's almost 10 interceptions on the season.
Mm-hmm.
But
when you're not playing, you're not getting anything.
Yeah, the knee injury is a problem.
Yeah. So I really don't like the knee injury with Kirby. That one is that, and the Terrion Arnold concussion. Those are the 2 things that are really worrying me, because Terrion Arnold was really coming on before last week in that concussion. He was playing at an excellent clip. He was finally having that season that we thought he was going to have this year. And now injury is derailing him, because if he doesn't practice today, even in a limited participant or off to the side or something, if he doesn't practice today, he's probably not playing this week, because you have to have at least one full participant practice after coming out of concussion protocol to be able to play that week. So it's either today or tomorrow, and that's it.
Yeah, I would probably. Yesterday was a walkthrough. If I heard,
it was an estimated walkthrough. Yes.
Yeah. So those you had to put that designation on them. Today is what matters. Today and tomorrow. To your point, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And do I believe that he needs to have a full participation practice to go and play his game? No. But to your point, league standards, league rules.
Yeah. To get in, you have to.
You have to have one.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have one fit. They have to be able to jog so fast and not get a headache within a certain amount of time. And there's a whole bunch of rules they have to go by. They ramp it up from really slow to being able to go. So how some of these guys get through the concussion protocol so fast is beyond me, because I know it takes a couple days. But he must have had one heck of a concussion. Did he get knocked out of the game week before last against the Vikings?
Yeah. It was during the game, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? Because I don't remember him getting taken off the field.
It was like the end of the second, or it was the end of the second or early third.
Oh, okay.
I want to say is when he went out.
Yeah.
I don't remember him coming back in. I don't think he can come back in.
But the thing is, because I went to the game, I just remember seeing him jog off the field. I don't remember seeing him You know, I wasn't watching the blue tent the whole time. It wasn't like he was knocked out on the field and they had to come scrape him off the field and take him away. That's why it like I didn't even realize he wasn't out there until about halfway through the third quarter, when they flashed it up on the screen that he was questionable to return, which they don't do a good enough job. They don't put that stuff out there. You know, they just flash it on the screen for 3 seconds and you read half of it and then it's gone.
That's why I watch the game on my phone or have it going on my phone.
Yeah.
On some other app to try to pay attention and listen to what the announcers are saying. So like my grandfather, when I first started going to games, that's why we always had a radio. And
I wish
yeah.
I even bought the little radio at the stadium that you can buy.
Yeah.
And it just goes to 97.1 the ticket, but it's like
that's all it goes to is 97.1.
Well, it used to just have the one station. Yeah. And
you need a little ham radio. That's what you need.
But now the one I have, it's a little Lions one. It has one earpiece, and you dial it to whatever station. You go to 97.1, and they're on like a 30 or 60 second delay. It's unwatchable. I can't watch it with that much of a delay. Drives me nuts. That's like, I always like to listen to Dan Miller on the call. I would rather listen to Dan Miller matched up with the video on every game, but they just don't. They don't have it, and it drives me nuts. I wish I would pay $50 a season to be able to have Dan Miller on the call on video instead of having to listen to him on the radio.
Yeah, they're missing out there. But I did notice, if you haven't noticed on the Lions website, there are some new things that they put up that I didn't notice this year until the other day, and it's called the Lions Loop. Have you guys seen the Lions Loop yet?
No, I'm going to look right now.
So I just forget how to get there. Where was it?
Have they put out what the giveaway is going to be for this game yet?
I don't know if they're doing one.
Oh, they do something for every game.
Yeah, but sometimes it's bowl squash, man. It's like a koozie or
Well, that's all right. I don't care if it's a bracelet or what it is. It'll probably be the bracelets, because they're gonna have, this is a blackout game. And what did they do? They announced it almost a week early, so we could actually know what they're wearing this weekend. This is going to be a blackout game. It's the Motor City Muscle jerseys this weekend, and I'm always hyped for those games.
All right, so I don't know where the hell this thing is, but where did it go? So I was on the site the other day. I'm looking, trying to find some pictures and some other things, and this Lions Loop pops up, and it's like all of the Twitter vertical posts and things that are on there that you can just kind of watch one by one and just kind of go through it. I thought there's like Penei Sewell doing his, pregame hype. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
I'll see if I can find it here.
I don't know why I can't find it.
It was called the Loop?
Yeah, Lions Loop.
Search for Lions Loop. Just has some stories.
Either way.
A guest in the back room.
Oh, is he in?
Yep.
All right. We'll be back here in just a few moments. We're going to go to a quick break. I'll bring in Alex, and we'll get into the Giants conversation here.
All right.
With all a heart full of dreams and the fire in
All right, 2 seconds, Alex.
Feeling the passion, igniting the light through highs and lows. We'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar. Together.
Now, I'm not going to be able to give you the professional newsroom cues, but you know.
Full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the heart.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, good morning, Alex. How are you this morning, man?
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me on. I am doing great this morning, and I'm definitely happy here to talk some football, talk some Lions and Giants with you guys.
So Alex joining us this morning from Big Blue in the Bronx. Also, hey, give us an update, man. Life's changed for you. If you want to share with everybody what's going on with you, congratulations, by the way. Give us a quick update, and then we're going to roll right into the Giants, man.
Yeah, so funny story on how me and Will connected again is I was going through my old account, which is Big Blue in the Bronx. I was going through it yesterday for whatever reason it was, and I saw Will DM me. I'm like, he was DMing me about possibly hopping on the show. I said, you know what? I have my off day tomorrow. And then obviously we connected. But the truth is I'm not actually active on Big Blue in the Bronx anymore, as you can see by the pullover coat. I am a news reporter down here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I moved all the way down from New York. I've been focusing on the news stuff before I want to get into sports eventually. Got the job in June, made the decision to close out the channel in July. I brought the channel back for one stream. That was when the Giants decided to allow the Denver Broncos to drop 33 points in the fourth quarter. But other than that, it's been a focus on news. And obviously, I've made my appearances on some shows, but obviously, I decided, you know what? I'm going to help out Will and give the Giants perspective.
There
I'm
you
happy
go.
to be here for it.
There you go. How's audio for everybody?
He's a little low on my end.
Is he? I thought so too. So I'm going to try to get that fixed.
I'm gonna move my mic a little closer.
Yeah, there we go. If you wouldn't mind, I think you're on PC, right? If you wouldn't mind just checking that it's like up to 80, 90, something in that range. Okay. Auto gain controls off for you, so you should be good to go. So Alex, man, this is it was a season that I think it started out with a lot of hope. You have Jaxson Dart that comes in, Cam Scatabo, who's just absolutely electrifying in college. And man, seeing those two operate on the field together was electric. Like I said, it was fun to watch. Unfortunate injury to Cam Scatabo. I think he's definitely he's going to be a player to remember in the NFL whenever his playing days are done. I think what he did early, it showed why he belonged probably earlier in the conversation during the draft. I'm surprised that he slipped that as far as he did. But going to give us the tale of your season so far, because what I see is I see a team that is barely losing some games against some good teams. They played well against the Chiefs. You've got a really good defensive front. What's not working? I guess kind of just run through what you see as a Giants fan. What is your biggest gripes and hypes for your season?
Yeah, so in advance, I'm going to apologize if you hear any landscapers in the background. I guess they picked this time of morning. But, coming into the season, I was actually kind of hyped. I'm like, you know what? The Giants have the best quarterback room they've had in several years, probably since the days of Eli Manning. And I'm like, hey, listen, it's just a developmental year, win 6, 7, 8 games, maybe, see what happens. So the first 3 games, I was like, I can't stand the defense. I can't stand the way Russell Wilson's playing. He played that one game in Dallas, which was a complete anomaly. And then you see Jaxson Dart come in, and then you see Cam Scatabo and the way those two were connecting, as you mentioned. And it was just like, that's a piece of our future right there. And it looked really good. So, after week 4 against the Chargers, week 5 against the Saints, I mean, that was just a game where this team just like emotionally dropped off. And you also had a mix of Jaxson Dart's kind of rookie issues. I think he had 2 interceptions that day. He also had a fumble, or actually, no, Scatabo, I think, had a fumble too. So you go into week 6. I mean, I was watching that at a sports book. That win against the Eagles, that was one of the best wins the Giants have had in years because it's against a division rival. They crushed them. It's on Thursday Night Football, which they hadn't won in almost 10 years. So it was just like, yeah, the season's alive, everything. I felt truly that the season ended when the Giants gave up 33 points in Denver. At that point, in my personal opinion, Brian Dable and Shane Bowen both should have been fired. Instead, the Giants had, waited several weeks, and it was reported by multiple people on Twitter and on the news in New York that Brian Dable was almost fired after that game, but John Mara was quote unquote talked out of it. So then you go the next week and they play Philly once again, which is kind of odd in the schedule, and Cam Scadaboo gets hurt. So that's kind of just like icing on the cake of the season being over. And Jaxson Dart, at this point in the game, he's left with nothing pretty much. I mean, I love his running style, but he does need to calm it down because that's not going to last in the NFL. I mean, he's been checked for concussions 4 times. He's had 1. Obviously, that came against the Chicago Bears. The Giants also lost that game due to defensive incompetence, due to special teams incompetence, and the fact that they were not, at that point in the game, putting Russell Wilson on the bench. Rather, they were putting Jameis Winston as quarterback. They were not putting Jameis Winston as quarterback too, because if they did, they would have had a better shot at winning the game. And I think Giant fans and even some of this staff and people around the league just didn't expect, and maybe it's just a Giant thing, that Russell Wilson is going to be that washed. So for the rest of the season, it's just really seeing what Jaxson Dart has. He's playing with next to nothing, which is going to make it harder. But I guess if he could do some stuff with the little that he has, imagine what he does when Neighbors is back and Scadaboo is back and the Giants get a couple of weapons next year.
So your defensive line is pretty stout. Like, this is the part of the team that Lions fans have had an issue with. Brad Holmes for a while, always consistently saying that we needed somebody on the other side of Aiden, and truly the Giants have that. Starting with, I can't remember, is Bobby Okereke one of the longest tenured Giant linebackers?
I would say, as far as the inside linebackers go, he's been here since 2023. He was brought in for Wink Martindale's system.
Right.
I do see him possibly getting cut next year because the Giants don't have a ton of cap room to maneuver with. But
right.
Yes, he is one of those veterans on the team. I don't know if he's a captain. I'm going to say he is, but he is a veteran, one of the longest tenured veterans on the team.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I mean, even starting with that, that middle 4 there, Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke. I don't know much about Demetrius Flanagan, and then you have Kayvon Thibodeau. But then you're backed up with Abdul Carter, Neville Hewitt, Zaire Barnes, and Chauncey Golston. What an amazing cast of linebackers, edge rushers. I mean, guys that can move the pocket, move the offensive line. Going up against the Lions this weekend that have had a tattered offensive line for much of the season, a lot of offensive line issues, communication issues, protection issues for Jared Goff. Can this defense do what the Eagles just did in good weather, because it'll be in a dome, to the Lions offensive line, starting with the middle 4? And let's not forget the big nose tackle in Dexter Lawrence, Dan Campbell respects the hell out of this dude. He's a pocket mover. You have to double him up, which is going to create rush lanes for Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter. So 3 things there, I guess. 1, how's Abdul Carter been playing for the Giants? 2, how menacing is this middle 4 going to be against the Lions offensive line that has been a little bit beat up? And I guess the third thing, talk about that defensive line as a whole and how you see that they're, what are the Giants' plans this year, next year, in the future?
So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting subject because a lot of Giant fans kind of are underwhelmed with the production of this defensive line. And one thing I'll say to start off on a positive note, I don't think anybody, including myself, saw the season that Brian Burns is having. If I'm not mistaken, he is one of the leaders or leads the NFL in sacks. Nobody saw that coming. And again, because he's a guy, I think he's at 13 sacks. His highest in Carolina was in 2019 or 2020 with 12 and a half. So he's been unreal. If the Giants didn't suck like they do, I think he probably would be in a better contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, as far as the rest of the defensive line goes, there's 2 things that I could throw blame to as far as production. Because I'm going to be honest, again, the production has been rather underwhelming outside of Brian Burns. And maybe these guys on the all 22 are making room for Brian Burns to get those 13 sacks. Maybe that's true, right? Dexter Lawrence, I mean, he hasn't played like the player we've seen. I mean, he did play well against the Packers interior, but production-wise, it's not been the same 2 other years. I don't know what's going on there. Kayvon Thibodeau had a hot start to the season. We thought it was going to be okay. You know, he's trying to rile up those numbers for the contract year, but he's slowed down, and that's going to be a very, I would say, interesting contract negotiation for the Giants and Joe Shane at some point. Abdul Carter, he has had a couple of situations where, I mean, he had half a sack in the Washington game, I believe it was. And there's been a few times he's got sacks, but unfortunately, the back end of the defense has not stuck to the role and has committed a holding penalty, or there's been an illegal contact, something along those lines. So he's not been able to finish, and he does have that rookie excuse, but trust me, none of this removes the fact that he's so fast off the edge. Everybody knows that. His bend is crazy, right? But eventually those I would say hits and fast rushes need to turn into sacks, because he was selected as the 3rd overall pick. So this game, ideally, I was watching that Eagles-Lions game last week, and I saw how Jared Goff was trying to get that ball out quick and all these other different things. This game, they should feast a little bit, but my problem is even if they do get to the quarterback, the secondary is not good for the New York Giants.
So it sounds like Jared Goff should have a better day as long as he can get the ball out. And quite honestly, that does set up Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery on the ground. How they been against the run from your eyes? And I was looking at some of the stats this morning. Brian Burns is absolutely playing pretty well. I mean, 13 sacks, 17 TFLs, 7 passes defensed on the season. That's incredible numbers. Halfway through the season, he could have a 20-sack year. He could get a couple this weekend if the Lions aren't careful. But you're right. The rest of the defensive line hasn't done a whole lot. Kayvon Thibodeau has 2.5. Dexter Lawrence has half a sack. Abdul Carter has the half a sack. The other's erased by penalty. Darius Alexander has a half a sack. So not a ton of production overall. You kind of have the one guy that's kind of getting it done, and that's Brian Burns. Feast or famine, I guess, on the defensive line, but it is still a defensive line that you have to respect. Abdul Carter, to me, is a bit of a head scratcher for a guy that had so much pomp and circumstance going into the NFL draft. I know we spoke around the draft. I don't remember who you wanted in the first round. I don't think it was Abdul Carter, though, was it?
No, actually, it's funny. Every year I get in these phases where I predict the Giants, during the offseason who they're going to draft. And then right around draft time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to my real phase. The Giants are going to pick Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the guy I first wanted. I respected his talent, but my eyes were just so much on quarterback.
Yeah. And so it's a little bit of a head scratcher to me that he's not who a lot of people thought he was going to be, at least not yet. And he gets that rookie pass, like you said. I don't know how much a rookie top 5, pick gets a pass for too long, but we'll see what the Giants do. They're definitely going to get a new look with a new coach next year at some point. I'd be curious who you think that'll be in a moment. Eric, what is the next question for Alex? What's on your mind this morning?
Well, I don't know, Alex, if you tuned in and listened to what we were talking about earlier, but we've been talking about this Giants defense versus the Detroit Lions offense all morning. Will has one view, and I have another view of how this game is going to play out this weekend. What do you think is going to play out, the Detroit Lions offense versus this Giants defense? How do you think that's going to play out this weekend?
As far as what yards, what are we talking?
Well,
score?
yeah, like what they're going to do. And then I have one little bonus question in there. So I brought this up just a few minutes ago. So the Giants have allowed the most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks. How many yards do you think Jared Goff gets on the ground this weekend?
It's kind of sad. I just sighed at that last stat that we give up the most yards to opposing quarterbacks. I literally, I mean, that's absolutely embarrassing. They can stick it two ways to this Giants defense. The first one is, I mean, I don't know how the Lions fared against that Eagles defense last week in terms of the running game.
Not good.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Nope.
Well, so okay, good news for you guys. In my prediction, that there's going to be a rebound week per se, and for anyone who has Jahmyr Gibbs on their fantasy team, I bet all the experts are saying, "There you go, start Jahmyr Gibbs against that Giants rushing defense." I mean, this is the worst rushing defense for the New York Giants I have ever seen.
Really?
And it gets progressively worse. But it starts from Dexter Lawrence not playing up to his par. It also starts with the Giants having so much bad depth behind him. They don't actually have good run stoppers. So I would, if you're Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy team, start him. I think that's the way that the offense should be geared towards. Okay, we're going to go down and because the Giants, at least in my opinion, Jaxson Dart can work miracles. I don't think the Giants are going to be scoring a lot. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs is set to have a big game. And I think the Lions are going to have a rebound in the rushing game because the Giants are so bad on the ground. And I know sometimes there's those anomaly games where, like, the rushing defense is good, but they were previously bad in the previous games. But I'm sorry, the Giants are last in yards per carry. You just mentioned that quarterback stat. Feed it to Jahmyr Gibbs and sprinkle in the passing game because our secondary is also not something to talk about either.
Interesting. So Jared Goff, he's not known to run.
No.
At all. So we don't know what the over-under is, Eric?
It's usually like 1 yard.
Okay. So if the over-under is literally 1 to 10 on Goff, then maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I tried to look it up this morning, but it's not a bet just quite yet.
So I was looking at your schedule a little bit today. Just kind of glanced. You had some pretty big games. Neighbors went down for the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, second week, man, against Dallas, 167 yards. Cam Scatterbo never broke 100, at least on the ground, but 98 yards versus Philly. I'm so surprised that we couldn't do more against Philly in that game. Give me 1 sec. I want to find a couple of insights here. You were talking about the back end of your defense. What specifically is going on? Like, is it the safeties? Is it the corners? Is it just a combination of all the above? Like, what's going on the back end? Where can the Lions, do you think, have the biggest success? Where can the Giants have the biggest success?
Where the Lions can have the biggest success. So the story in the Giants secondary is big assets, big asset management. They signed Javon Holland, they signed Paulson Adebo, and this Giants secondary. The best player in the Giants secondary right now is Cordell Flott. And I don't want to say he's sticking out like a sore thumb because he does have his bad moments, but he's a guy who the Giants picked in the third round out of LSU in 2022 as part of Joe Shane's first draft class. And he was seen as like, this guy's just okay, but he's really emerged as someone who's a corner too. And the Giants may look to re-sign. Maybe it's just contract year play. But this comes down again. The Giants don't have any depth in the secondary, and it is bad asset management. I mean, Paulson Adebo, they are running more man coverage this year. Statistics show, like last year they ran a bunch of zone. Giants fans weren't happy. Okay. And I wasn't happy either. Giants are running some of the most man coverage, if not the most man coverage in the NFL. And they're getting beat by it. Shane Bowen also has these guys playing 5-10 yards off the ball. They're not really pressing them at the line, which is why the defensive line can't get to the quarterback, even if they end up in the backfield somehow, because the opposing quarterback always gets rid of the football. Paulson Adebo had a setback last week. So there's a good chance you're not going to see him. You will be seeing Deonte Banks, who, if anyone has tuned into a little bit of Giants football, since 2016, the Giants have drafted 3 first-round corners, and all of them are busts. That being Eli Apple, DeAndre Baker, and now Deonte Banks. His character is off. His play sucks. Even in man coverage where he's supposed to thrive, he's mentally quit. Javon Holland was supposed to come over and be this playmaker, and I can't tell whether it's coaching or not. And I think there are elements where it is coaching between him and Tyler Nubin, who we drafted out of Minnesota last year, who had 6 interceptions for Minnesota in his final year of college, and none of that has showed to the NFL. And his, I would say, weakness is angle taking. Like his angles suck. There was a play against the Eagles the week after the Broncos game that he had a shot at Saquon Barkley, stopping him before that 65-yard touchdown, and he just let him ride to the end zone. So, I mean, the secondary is just bad as a whole. And if you're someone in that offense, if you're in that offensive game plan room, whatever, pick on Deontay Banks. Pick on Deontay Banks. Andrew Phillips, he's a guy that has massively disappointed me. Last year, he kind of went under the radar because he was making plays, but also he was getting targeted a lot, but he wasn't giving up those big plays. Penalties are a problem for him. That is our slot corner. Penalties are an issue. He's given up a lot of touchdowns. He's given up a lot of yards. So all three are just not a mix for a sophomore slump. And that's the state of the Giants secondary. Pick that apart. Andrew Phillips, go after Tyler Nubin and Deontay Banks.
You know, I'm laughing, but it's not out of disrespect because, you know, a lot of what's going on, what you're talking about, I've heard it all with the Lions, right? It's the same kind of stuff that we've been through. And we've got, you know, our number one safety's been out now for 6 weeks, 6 games. Terry and Arnold, our first round pick last year, has been in and out of the lineup. And so we've had this legion of whom that has been in, and they've played pretty well. They've actually played really damn good,
really well
for what they've had to deal with. And I think that's where I wanted to turn to next. So Raw in the chat had a question for you, and it kind of lines up with where I was going to go. Give me 1 second. Let me get back to that question. So he says, Alex, do you think that the Giants wide receivers how do you think the Giants wide receivers will fare this weekend with the Lions cornerbacks being so physical? And I'm going to add on to that and say with the Legion of Whom, which has been a bunch of misfits or castaways, Arthur Mollett, you know, Eric Hallett, Nick Whiteside, guys you don't know, right? Or you may know, you may have some familiarity with. But how does that fit, that question? How will the Giants wide receivers do if it's Jameis Winston or Jaxson Dart? Because Jaxson Dart returned to practice yesterday, and he was a non-contact participant, so today is going to be big for him. Or, yeah, today's Thursday. Today will be big for him to be able to make it back up and into the game this weekend. But do you have a preference on who plays? And I guess depending on who plays, who's going to have the better game with the wide receivers in that offense?
So, in my personal opinion, I'd rather see Dart play. As far as who'd be better, I would say Jaxson Dart, in my personal opinion. Of course, you guys just filled me in a little bit more on the battered secondary of the Detroit Lions. As far as wide receivers go, I mean, meaning Jaxson Dart and also Jameis Winston too, they love to target Wan'Dale Robinson. Me, I'm not his biggest fan. He's also in a contract year. I know he's got a lot of slot yards and this, that, and the third. So, you know, I don't know specifically who your slot corner is, but he's going to have a tough challenge. But I think, I don't want to say Wan'Dale's route tree is limited. I think he's just limited within this offense because it's a lot of out routes. It's a lot of routes short of the sticks. I mean, he can't go downfield with his stature because he's as tall as me. And he also weighs like 170 pounds. So I would say with whoever quarterback plays, you look for that. I would also, and if Slayton plays, I think he's going to be a big part. I'm going to be honest again, not a big fan of his, but he has been injured up and down the last few weeks. And I would anticipate him to be a big target if he does play. I'm not going to say if Jaxson Dart plays because I don't know what they've been doing in practice. As you just said, he's a non-contact participant as of yesterday. But if Jameis Winston plays, I would look for somebody you guys saw the last time around when you guys played us at MetLife. And he actually technically had I don't want to say game-losing fumble because that game was already over. That was a nail in the coffin. Isaiah Hodgins, who was pretty much a miracle in the 2022 Giants season. He, for whatever reason, Joe Shane let him leave. For whatever reason, he just fits this Giants offense like a glove. I mean, he's not a standout great receiver, but he's a possession receiver. He's got hands that are glued to the football. Now, I will say this as well. I don't know how your linebackers and safeties stack up, but if Jaxson Dart does play, I would look for Theo Johnson to get a few targets in there because those two seem to be like best friends. Maybe a little bit of Daniel Bellinger. I love Bellinger a lot more than Theo Johnson. But that's kind of how I view the Giants' passing game.
So last week, Tyrone Tracy, the guy I picked up early in my draft for fantasy football, I was banking on the fact that he was going to have a decent season, not knowing what Cam Scadaboo was going to do. Had a big week last week. Let's see if I can go back and find his stats from last week. It's a pretty big game. I think he had like 130 or 140 overall all-purpose on the ground. But anyway, be that as it may, Tyrone Tracy. The Lions have one of the top defenses in the league right now. We are ranked as a top 5 overall defense. Kind of top 5 metrics across the board, like top 8 rushing, top 8 passing. Doesn't mean that like we are this crazy good defense. I think that we give up some things at times. But what is the trick to Tyrone Tracy, and why has he been so good in whether it's been limited action or all the action? It seems like when he touches the ball, he does more with it than he doesn't. Can you tell us a little bit about Tyrone Tracy and your thoughts on him as a Giant, what he means to this offense this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year, taking it back a little bit, when he first stepped on the field, I think a lot of Giant fans were surprised. They were impressed by his production. But really, after Daniel Jones was benched and he was cut from the team, I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but his production just kind of like went down because I think defenses started to figure him out. And the only game he really succeeded in was in that blowout against the Colts. And we kind of had that teetering in our minds, coming into the season. They drafted Cam Scadaboo, great. And he was kind of like pushed off to the side a little bit when Cam Scadaboo started to get his rise. The thing with Tracy is I think there's a lot of things he has still yet to learn because he was a wide receiver in college, and they transferred him over to the running back position when he was at Purdue. And I believe he went from Iowa to Purdue, that is. But nonetheless, there's a lot of things he needs to figure out. I don't think he's a good inside runner. So if the Lions can set the edge and have at least solid corner play when it comes to outside running, then you will defeat Tyrone Tracy. I will say the last 2 games he's been good as far as yards and stuff like that goes. I think also if the Giants want to get him involved overall, they got to get him in the screen game because yards after the catch is big for him. He does make people miss. He's not elusive, but he does make people miss. Though, again, I will say last week kind of an anomaly because the Giants overall, for whatever reason that is, and I think it's just Green Bay having this long history of like not being good against the run. They did get some push with Devin Singletary last week. They did get pushed with Tyrone Tracy, but I think Tyrone Tracy's game is outside running, which is fine. But, if defenses lock both sides down and all you're stuck with is the interior, you're kind of in trouble. And that kind of goes back to the Giants offensive line that pass protection wise, they played well this season. It took like 2 or 3 games to get them kind of molded in together. This was the same unit they ran out last year, which is fine. However, when you look at the interior at John Runyon, John Michael Schmitz, and Greg Van Roten, this is not a unit that blocks against the run really well. I mean, Illuminor is okay when it comes to it. Andrew Thomas is one of the best tackles in the NFL when he's on the field. But this interior is average at best. I think they're glorified. And their biggest issue, again, is not getting push in the running game consistently. That's been their problem for the last 2 years. So if this Lions defense can shut the outside running lanes down and really focus on that inside, you're going to leave Jaxson Dart or Jameis Winston really one-dimensional. But if they do run with Jaxson Dart, that's going to be another thing for the Lions to game plan with.
So that last question was coming to you from Kevin Barr, that he wanted to know about the Giants running game, and I kind of threw Tyrone Tracy in there. So that kind of, I'll wrap up with the running game questions with this. You feel it's kind of an anomaly that Tracy had a decent week. Does that mean that Jameis Winston might be the better play then? I know you want to see Jaxson Dart. I mean, I assume you want the rookie to get snaps. I would like to see the rookie stay healthy. Jaxson Dart was one of my favorite QBs last season. As I was mocking him up, I figured it was either him or Milroe that was going to end up in the first round. Obviously, Jaxson Dart did, and I think he landed in a great opportunity. I think his future is bright as long as he can stay healthy. I hate to see him out there running around getting his head knocked into the dirt, because that ends careers early. I think you got something cooking over there. But I guess that'll be my final question on the run game. I'll go kick it back to Eric. Eric, what do you have?
Yeah, so we've talked about the offense. We've talked about the defense for the New York Giants. There's one thing we haven't touched on, and that's the New York Giants special teams. How's their special teams doing this year? And then after that, just give me your overall on this game, what you think is going to happen as far as score-wise. Give us your prediction, that kind of stuff.
Oh, special teams play. Oh,
I feel you. I feel you.
Jamie Gillen has not been great this year. He had a punt in the Bears game that kind of let the Bears walk down the field, in addition to our defense that hasn't been great. If anyone, again, has tuned into Giants football, the Giants the last 3 years have mishandled the kicker situation worse than any other team I've ever seen. There was the week where they didn't have a kicker last year. Then Graham Gano gets injured, and coming back with Graham Gano was one of the worst decisions of the offseason, because you could have cut this guy. Dude's 37, 38 years old. I might be overranging it by a year, but he's not good. He's constantly injured. Then he goes on IR, and then you trust this pathway program guy, Jude McAtomney, who was the backup kicker at Rutgers. He wasn't the starter. He was the backup kicker at Rutgers. He sucks. Denver Broncos game showed that on a major standpoint. Then you bring Graham Gano back from IR, and then he's not good, and then he's injured, so you put him on IR, and then Younghoe Koo comes in. The first game he was good. The Packer game he was a little shaky. I think he missed an extra point. MetLife Stadium wind is something, so I'll give him a little bit of a mulligan, even though he for the last 2 years has been kind of off. So, being that it's a dome, the Giants shouldn't miss their kicks, but the key word is shouldn't. Return play, the Giants have been decent on returns. It's nothing special. It's Gunnar Olszewski and Deonte Banks. If the Lions special teams plays well, I can't anticipate the Giants having any long returns. As far as like the overall outlook on this game, it can go two ways, and I know it's kind of like those obvious two ways, or maybe even three ways. If Jaxson Dart plays, I think the Giants can be really competitive in this game. I think they can play up to the competition. In no way scenario, there's always those little chances. In no way scenario, in my opinion, the Giants are going to win. I think the Lions take this one. I am impressed with the way the Giants played last week against the Packers. I know the Packers are kind of on a downward spiral. But Mike Kafka seems to have these guys playing a little hard, unlike Brian Dable in the last few games, especially with some of these collapsing losses. I think the Lions can take advantage of this Giants defense. I think that I truly respect Kelvin Shepard, a former Giant, taking over this defense and being better than it was. And I'll ask a quick question, because my brother's a Jet fan. Before I go into my other final thoughts, do you guys believe this defense is better under Kelvin Shepard than it was under Aaron Glenn for 3 years?
Oh, 100%. It's better. And it's funny you asked that, because coming out of camp, I went to 4 or 5 practices this year, whatever it was. But coming out of my first night of camp with Eric, we went for the season ticket holder event. I said, this is going to be the best defense we've ever had. And I said, this defense is going to be doing a lot with the linebackers, because obviously Kelvin Shepard being a former linebacker, he wants to highlight those guys. But you could see the way that they're scheming it up, doing some things we haven't seen before. But absolutely, is it a better defense? Yes, and it's a better defense for a few reasons. One, we've had guys in and out like we did last year. We're staying a little bit healthier up front, but we're not staying healthy in the back end. And for that, what I see the difference is Calvin Shepard is not stubborn. He's not going to just stick to, nope, this is our identity. This is what we're going to do. And this is the only thing we're going to do because that's what we've been learned and taught in practice all season. So we're not getting away from it. No, he will adapt. And he's adapting to do things that make sense. Whereas where Calvin or Aaron Glenn, great coach, phenomenal coach, just too stubborn and put us in positions to lose, not positions to win. So this defense is better because it's smarter. It's better because I think that we're playing a better scheme. And I think that we're playing to our guys' strength. And I think that this is where Brad Holmes has been trying to build this team to get it to this point, to have the right depth in the right spots. Obviously, we're better numbers-wise. We are a top 5 defense right now. We haven't been a top 5 defense, I don't know, 30-plus years. It's been a long. It's been a long time.
The 14-15 season.
I don't even know if we were top 5 then, but yeah, we are definitely better. Analytically and statistically, we are better. There's some things that we could still do better. But what's funny is we are not as good from the pressure standpoint, right? Number 21, in the pressure rate, or that's where we're ranked, number 21 in pressure. But overall, defense-wise, we're killing it. And that's because when you play contain, you're not pressuring. And we play contain more this season, and you naturally collapse that pocket, and that's what they're doing more often than not. So that's a long answer to say yes. Eric?
Yeah, my answer is 1,000,000% yes. And the biggest thing for me is that Kelvin Shepard has done something that no Lions coach has ever done against mobile quarterbacks, and that's run a spy. Now, it's a different spy on every play, and you don't know who it is. It's a linebacker. It's a defensive end. You don't know who it is. And I love it. And he's asking his defensive ends to contain and hold the edge. And don't let that quarterback run around like a chicken with their head cut off. And to me, that is what it takes to beat all of these mobile quarterbacks, because every team is going to a mobile quarterback for some reason. And, fans here in Detroit clamor for one, but for me, I'm old school. I like pocket passers. And, so I think this week, especially whether it's Jameson Williams or
it's hard. Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. Jeez, I get those names. They're so similar. Jameis Winston. If you have him or whether it's Dart, they both can run around and they can hurt you on the ground. Mm-hmm. So I really expect Kelvin Shepard this weekend to run a spy, no matter who the quarterback is, and he's going to play it the same way, no matter which quarterback you guys put in there this weekend.
Yeah, I think we'll do a little bit of light spy duty. I think he's going to flip it around a little bit too, but it's going to be light spy duty, probably a light box. Yep. But anyway, one final question for you, man. A couple of people in the chat wanted to know how you're feeling about I got hundreds of questions for you, honestly, but not today, right? A lot of people want to know, what do you think about Daboll being fired? Was it the right move? Who do you think should replace him? And would Daboll make a good offensive coordinator for Detroit? Why not? And I guess the last thing would be this. Kafka, to me, I get why he got the opportunity. I don't know, was he the assistant head coach before he got this opportunity? Was he already the assistant? I don't know if he was or if he wasn't. You could probably answer that, but Kafka was not doing his job with the offense, and Daboll gets fired. I understand Daboll's the one that's in charge of all of this, but why would Kafka be the guy that gets the shot? And, there you go. There's the 3 things. Why Kafka? Was Daboll, is he the right opportunity for an offensive coordinator based on what he did with the Bills before getting the job in New York? And who do you want as your next head coach?
So I'm going to go back to last year, and I'm going to say, listen, I love Jaxson Dart. I love Cam Scatterbo. The Giants not firing Joe Shane and Brian Daboll after last year's disaster. And you know what? It's funny because I look at the Lions, and I'm like, let's take a look at the Giants and the Lions side by side. The Lions won, I think, 2-3 games in their first year with Dan Campbell, and then they won 9 games. and then they ended up making that big playoff run.
Yep.
Where the Giants, they had a wild card win, and then they got crushed against the Eagles, and then they win 6 games the next year, and then they win 3 games the following year, which was on the Giants' 100th season and was the worst winning percentage in Giants history. That's very hard to remark, especially in 100 years. How they weren't fired is so beyond me, but that's John Mara, and I don't mean to speak ill will of him because he is battling cancer, but the truth is the truth. That's him being, I would say, caring about perception because he didn't want to fire another head coach after 2-3 years. And you gave him 3 years. That's great. I mean, maybe the Giants are still paying head coaches. I don't know. But, like, the optics are so bad when you look at these things. Again, he should have been fired way before. He should have been fired last year. And bringing in Shane Bowen was just another terrible decision after you let Wink Martindale go because you decided to be emotionally insecure. So he should have been fired after Denver. No team lets somebody drop 33 points on you and have the defensive collapse that you did. So Dable should have gone, but it was such incompetence to let him go mid-season rather than before the season. I do think the reason they made Kafka the head coach and just the fact that he wasn't just the assistant head coach, whatever, that they probably saw him as like, okay, he's kind of helping Jaxson Dart. And by the way, this did not come from Joe Schoen. This came from ownership. So that's kind of like that power struggle, and that's kind of worrying a little bit, especially when you guys when you don't have football guys in the building. But he was also the head coach either this spring or last spring. I want to say it was this spring at the East-West Shrine Bowl. That's where the head coaching experience comes from. It's not much. I think he's been more paying attention to detail than the Giants have the last 3 years. Obviously, you saw him discipline Abdul Carter for sleeping or being late to meetings, whatever the hell the reason was. There's so many rumors where the Giants have been running soft practices for the past 3 years. Sometimes they don't even kick in practices, and that's all on Brian Dable. I mean, on the players too, because you kind of pick up the I would say the theme of your head coach, for a lack of a better term. Now, who I want as head coach, I think this is a terrible year, in my personal opinion, for picking a head coach because Mike McCarthy, in my opinion, I'm starting to talk myself into him, and I really don't want to. Because I saw what happened in Dallas. I mean, he, was pretty much the same coach as Jason Garrett. Granted, he didn't have an under 500 season, at least to my knowledge, so credit to him. I know he had 2 the last few years in Green Bay. But, when you're looking at, okay, either hot coordinator or experienced head coaches, and then you start trying to talk yourself into Brian Flores, John Gruden, that's not a good pool to dig into. Like, you really have to hope that somebody like a Matt LaFleur or a John Harbaugh shakes free, and I don't have hope in that. Heck, even if you're talking coordinators, I have a Miami Dolphins fan at work. He says, if these Dolphins win these games, that means just Mike McDaniel's going to stay, and they're going to carry on with a new GM. So anyone hoping that he shakes free for OC position, yeah, good luck with that one. And then you look at the hot coordinators. I've been a Clint Kubiak fan since his days with Kirk Cousins in 2021. I'm just kind of concerned he's been a coordinator long enough that he may or may not be of head coaching material. And obviously the Kubiak name stands very tall in the NFL. Jeff Hafley, I mean, last week was not the greatest example if you wanted to exhibit it in front of the New York Giants, but he's one of the top candidates out there. And then you also have, what's his face? Jesse Minter from the Chargers. So it's not a great year. Unfortunately, I would have to make my list as like, okay, I could take Hafley, but I'm not, as you can see, guys, I'm not overly thrilled with the candidates. And I'm so numb to changing head coaches every year. So
yeah, it's not. It doesn't seem. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. So Hafley would be at the top. Or Mike McCarthy would have to be at the top. Brian Flores would have to be at the top. But I'm not overly energetic, unfortunately.
I hear you. I think there's going to be some coordinators that start popping up. I know that they're already talking about Calvin Shepard getting an opportunity to do some interviews next year, which I assume he would. How crazy of a situation would that be if Calvin Shepard went back to New York to be a head coach? I'd say he definitely has the right mentality. New York is it's a special place to coach, a special place to play. I think anyone that's ever had an opportunity to play there will tell you that. Alex, congratulations, man, on your success down in Tennessee. Appreciate you coming on and joining us this morning, and maybe we touch base throughout the season, but wish you nothing but the best as always. Final 10 seconds of the day go to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, just I wanted to say I'm glad I checked my other Twitter to see Will's DM and came on here and chatted with you guys about the Giants and the Lions and giving a little bit of my side of things, giving you guys a little bit of a better perspective. But I appreciate you guys. I see the work you do. I think Will, pretty sure you went to the draft.
Yeah.
This past spring, so that's a great step. And you guys just overall do great work, and I appreciate y'all having me on this morning.
All right, Alex, man, you take care. Appreciate you as always. It's good to have people like yourself now truly in media, working for a station that you can bring that perspective. Wish you nothing but the best, man. We'll talk to you soon throughout the season. Take care, Alex.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, bye-bye, man. Was not quick on the draw there. Oops, there we go. All right, sorry I kept you over, Eric.
That's all right.
Next time, just bounce if you got to bounce.
This is the one day I can.
Oh, it's Thursday, yeah?
Yeah, so today's the one day this week I don't have anyone standing outside my garage waiting for me to come tell them what to do. Being a supervisor. Oh,
Supervisor God. Eric, get out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
What do you
interesting.
want me to do today?
Yeah, interesting. Well, you're probably always in a role with that wife of yours, right? Telling you, Eric, you got to get this done. You got to get that done, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So what do you think from his conversation? I mean, it sounds like there's some opportunity.
What the one thing he didn't do was give me his prediction for the game. What's
score?
Your score prediction?
I don't know.
I want to know his honest score prediction. But I think, listening to Alex, he's a very informative, very informed. He's very knowledgeable about football, and not just football in general, but also about the New York Giants. This guy is very invested. You can tell in the New York Giants. He loves them. And he knows everything about him. Like this guy, he's got it going on. And what I took away from his conversation is that he agrees with me that this is going to be a dominating win by the Detroit Lions this weekend.
Well, he also said he thinks that the Giants can hang with him. He said that that's the other way. He's like the Giants can hang with him. Doesn't mean that they're gonna win, but they can hang with them. And that's where I was curious. I don't want to say taken aback, but when he said Dart versus Winston, I get why. And that's why I said, you want to see Jaxson Dart get the reps. He's young. The season's going nowhere. You're playing for nothing. Get the reps, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's me, I'm saying, Jameis, go make your money, because I don't want to ruin Dart, who's just had 4 concussion protocols.
Yeah, that's nuts in 1 year.
There's no reason to rush this dude back onto the field at all. Put Jameis out there and call it a day. I would not be putting my rookie quarterback out there to go get killed, especially against this defense, which has the opportunity to do that if they can win their one-on-ones up front. We didn't ask about the offensive line. I forgot about that. I forgot about the offensive line. Look, there's holes, right? There's holes that the Lions can punch on this team. Whether it's some deep shots, against the secondary. The fact that Brian Burns that dude's an absolute terror. Staying away from him, right? That's the guy you have to worry about. So whoever Brian Burns is, you need to worry about him.
Yeah, they might be double teaming that guy this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on a sec. Robbie, have a good day, man. I don't know what did I miss?
I don't know. I haven't had the chat on for a little while.
Oh, there's someone else that got booted today. Pizza guy? What's pizza guy?
There was a couple of them, I think.
Oh, he must have a second channel or something that says, "Wow, I got banned for glazing golf." You need to check your moderators. They're bad for business. Well, what did I miss?
I don't know.
Did someone have a take on golf that we didn't like? I don't know. I didn't see it.
I don't know.
All right. So anyway,
we had a guy in the chat that was just way off topic.
Oh, well, you got to try to correct him. Otherwise, you don't pay attention to him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, I think that, the Lions are going to win this game. We'll obviously get into Lions Giants a little bit more tomorrow and see where it lies. We got the injury report that's going to be finalized at some point today. That's going to tell us who's really in. Or at least has an opportunity, right? Whether Terrion Arnold's going to be in or not, whether Jaxson Dart's going to be in or not, that'll happen today.
Yeah.
So we'll find out, and then we'll be back tomorrow. We'll break it all down tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be more about the game, a little bit more insights into the game. I'll be working on it this afternoon. So, what's your final takes of the day, or anything else you want to share?
Well, tonight it's Thursday night football between the Bills and the Texans, so I'll be up watching that one tonight. Even though that sounds like kind of a clunker, 7-3 for the Bills and 5-5 for the Texans, but it is at the Texans. I think they're going to play them tough, and it looks like CJ Stroud could be back for this game. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. And while I'm watching that, I'm going to come up with my 5 super crazy bold predictions for tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. We're going to give our projections for the game. We're going to do some crazy bold predictions for the game, and I might even try to come up with some stuff for this game coming up this weekend.
Some stuff?
Yeah, some stuff. I'm going to look at the betting sites, and I might try to put together like a crazy parlay or something for $1, and we'll donate it to cancer, the Rockhound Cancer Foundation if we win. How about that?
Yeah, I've been trying to win one all year, man.
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch of them this last week that I accidentally hit $5, so it was like a $30,000 parlay. But you know what's nuts is
What ruined it for you?
Huh?
What ruined that for you?
It was the first game. It was a Thursday night game. No, wait, was it Thursday night game? No, it was the second game. The Jets, they had to lose by less than 12.5.
Oh, and they got smoked.
I originally had it at 14.5, and then it said accept your odds changes or whatever, and it wouldn't let me bet. And so when I accepted the odds changes, it dropped it to 12.5. But how fitting is that they lose by 13?
Vegas knows. Vegas knows.
They know because it's all BS. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, I had a whole bunch of them out there. And what's nuts is if you go to the Rocks Locks, week 11 was finalized. So I went through it all yesterday. I am firmly in second place right now against all of the experts out there. Each and every week I do my takes, and I do like an NFC North summary. I've kind of evolved it throughout the year, being really the first year that I'm really hammering it. So I'm 107-56 on the season right now. Last week I was 12-3? Yeah, I was 12-3 last week. One of my better weeks of the year. I'm in the hunt to win, even though they don't know I'm going up against them. See what happens. But it was a good week, and going 12-3. The unique thing that I didn't know I could do, Eric, because I never bet a whole lot, is I didn't know I could mix here's Detroit Football Journal right there. There's week 11 finalized. I just put it in the chat. I didn't know I could mix picks, like taking points, taking money line on the same parlay ticket. I didn't know that. And so when I started doing it, and I did it by accident, I'm picking left and right. I'm like, it's letting me do it. Like, if I would have been doing that all year, because there's some games I just don't like the money line, and I'd rather take the points, or I'd do it, but it won't let you do an alternate points and keep it on the same parlay ticket. So I'll do one now that's all alternate points, and those ones get kind of wild. But yeah, $5 turned into $32,000 or $31,000 had I won. And honestly, if the Jets would have held on, if they would have lost by less than 12.5, I think I would have won. I have to go back and look at it a little bit harder, but I think I would have won. So pretty crazy stuff. We're going to get one, man. I'm going to get one this year.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah. Just got to hit one.
Just got to hit one of these things. That'll do a lot for Rockhound Cancer Foundation.
Yeah. So last week, every prediction I made was absolutely wrong. Not a single one of them hit. So let's see if we can get one this week. I usually get 2 or 3.
All right. So I don't even know if I saved them last week. All right. So here's what we're going to have to do on the.
Yeah. Well, it was on the sheet last week, and then when I went back on Sunday after the game, it was gone.
I probably deleted it.
Yeah.
By accident. Okay, so on the very, very bottom of the sheet, on the very, very bottom, it says,
all the way down.
Yep, it says defensive line double team chip rates. I'm going to change that to just be 5 bold takes.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll put a box in there for you, and then that way you can put all your stuff
and we'll
in
just
there.
put it in there tonight.
Yeah,
okay.
And then it'll survive week to week. We'll just keep going. We'll just week 11, week 12, and just keep going.
One from this week might go next week.
Yeah. All right. You guys have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get me a 30-minute nap in and get after my day, man. I gotta wake up. You guys have a good one. I know it's a little bit slow today. We'll try to wake up for tomorrow. It's been one of those weeks. All right, probably go Detroit Lions, man. We'll catch you guys in the next one, which is tomorrow or later on tonight. Oh, the other channel tonight. That's where the Gripes and Hype will be, on the other channel.
Pressured by Hutchinson. He goes